Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to tell you about the Australia PR process and how you can apply for it without any work experience directly as a fresher. That's right, you can apply for your Australian PR with zero work experience, and I'm going to show you just how in this video. The Australian PR is valid for 5 years, and you can apply for your citizenship after completing 4 years under your PR status. The processing time is between 6 to 12 months. You can include your dependent family members along with your PR application, and each year the Australian government has been increasing the immigration planning levels, giving more opportunities to aspiring immigrants like you. With an Australian PR, you can live, work and travel anywhere in Australia. You can pursue higher studies in Australia, and you can apply for certain educational loans. Talking about loans, for purchasing your first home as a permanent resident, you will even receive a first home owner grant of 10,000 Australian dollars from the Government of Australia and a waiver of stamp duty as well, which is amazing. You can become eligible for social security benefits after 2 years of having an Australia PR. Your children will automatically get Australian citizenship if they are born in Australia. You'll even get coverage under Medicare, which helps with the costs of seeing a doctor, getting medicines and accessing mental health care, and you'll even qualify for cheaper health insurance. You can sponsor the PR of your relatives. You can even apply for government jobs. Last but not the least, it's a pathway towards Australian citizenship, which has benefits of its own. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything about the Australian PR, who can apply for it, its eligibility criteria or requirements, the points required, and how you can calculate your points yourself, the fees, and how you can apply for your Australian PR with or without any work experience. So do watch the video till the end. Hey guys, this is Jason from Dream Canada. If you're new to the channel, I show people how to save their money and immigrate to new countries through my videos without the help of any immigration consultants or agents or lawyers. You can find all the process instructions for you to apply on your own through this channel. Subscribe now because all the information provided here is completely free, and I answer all your queries in the comment section and on my social handles on Instagram and Twitter, so don't forget to follow us there as well. The Australian PR visa actually has two visa subclasses, which are the Skilled Independent Visa 189 and the Skilled Nominated Visa 190. The main difference between these two visas is the Skilled Independent Visa has no sponsorship requirement, whereas the holder of a Skilled Nominated Visa must be sponsored by a state or territory. Those who are granted a sponsored visa have some obligations related to where they live, which those on an independent visa do not have, sort of like PNP restrictions that Canada also has. I'm going to tell you about the Skilled Independent Visa 189 in this video, since this is the most common skilled worker visa which applies to most of you. Now that you know about the Australian PR subclasses, let me tell you who can apply through this program. To apply for your PR, you don't necessarily have to be in Australia, you can apply from anywhere in the world. Skilled foreign workers and international graduates are the ones who can apply for this program. For skilled workers, your work experience can be from anywhere in the world. And for international graduates, even if you don't have any work experience, you must have a degree, a diploma, or a trade certification at the very least. Now we come to the requirements for the 189 visa. The first requirement, if you have work experience, is you must be on what's called a shortage list for that particular visa. Now every visa or subclass in Australia has its own shortage list, which is a list of occupations that are targeted by those particular visas. So you just have to basically be working in these occupations, if you have work experience that is, and if you want to get any points for it. Now in this case, for the Skilled Independent Visa subclass, you can check your eligibility on the official Immigration and Citizenship website for the Department of Home Affairs. Under the skilled occupations list, you'll have to just enter in your occupation. For example, if you're a manager, just enter in manager, and you'll see an array of managerial titles for you here along with a subclass for each position as well. You can even filter in the subclass 189 so that all positions under 189 are displayed for you. You'll also see your skills assessment governing agency or assessing authority towards the right. You'll need your skills assessment from these authorities to ensure that you actually have the skills necessary for the job positions that you worked under. You'll have to provide your work experience and education documents for your skills assessment, and a processing fee of less than around 500 Australian dollars depending on your occupation. So let's say you find your occupation under the skilled occupations list. This will mean that your occupation is eligible for a skilled worker PR visa and you fulfill this first requirement. Now we come to the second requirement, which is English proficiency. Unlike Canada, where you get points for two languages, namely English and French, Australia, on the other hand, accepts only the English language. In order to be eligible for the 189 subclass, you need an IELTS band of at least CLB 6 and above. The higher the better to get an ITA, but that's still better than the mandatory CLB 7 required for Canada. Moving on to the next requirement, which is scoring enough points. Now, the Skilled Independent Visa 189 subclass has a points-based selection system wherein your human factor points like your age, education, work experience, etc. will all contribute to an overall score, and you'll need to score at least 65 points to qualify. Of course, the higher you score, the better your chances of getting picked. I'll give you a link to the points table in the description box so you can calculate your individual score based on it, and remember, you'll need at least 65 points to qualify. Now, do remember that merely getting 65 points won't guarantee that you'll get an ITA or an invitation to apply. The most recent draw held on 21st January this year, in which 200 candidates were invited, had a minimum cutoff score of 90 points for the Skilled Independent Visa subclass 189, so you'll have to try and score as much as you can. The points calculator can be found on the official Home Affairs website. The first thing you'll get points for here is your age, and as you can see here, you'll get the highest points, which are 30 points if you're between 25 to 33 years of age, and as you grow older, you lose 5 points each year. So you can basically make almost half of the required points with just your age criteria alone, but just remember that you should not be above 45 years of age. The second thing you get points for is your English proficiency, and you can score a maximum of 20 points if you're at a superior level, which is at CLB 8 or above, and 10 points at the very least for a CLB score of 7. So if you're between 25 to 33 years of age with a good IELTS score, then you've already made 50 points. Coming to the next scoring factor, which is work experience. Now, you don't necessarily need work experience from Australia, and you don't even need work experience at all for that matter from anywhere in the world. But if you do, then that's better for you and you'll get points for that. For instance, if you have less than 3 years of work experience outside Australia, then you won't get any points. If you have between 3 to 5 years, you'll get 5 points, 10 points for 5 to 8 years, and 15 points for 8 years and above. Now, an important thing to note is if you're counting your work experience, it should be in the same field as your education, otherwise you will not get any points for it. As I said, even if you don't have any experience, you don't have to worry, you can still make the cut. Let's see how. Moving on to the next factor, which is education. Assuming that you have a minimum education level of a bachelor's degree, you'll get 15 points for it. Again, you don't have to have an Australian education for this. Education in your home country will also count as long as it's at par with Australian education standards. Anything above a bachelor's will obviously get you more points, but a bachelor's degree is the bare minimum required. Now, moving on to the very unique factors, which is if you're single, you'll actually get 10 additional points. Now, this doesn't mean that if you're married, you'll lose out on these points. There is a way to make up for these points if you're married. In this case, your spouse will also have to take the IELTS test and score well, for which they'll get 5 points, and they'll have to have a minimum of a bachelor's degree, which will give them another 5 points. Now, if you know another language fluently and you hold a recognized qualification from an organization called NATI, which is the National Standards and Certifying Authority for Translators and Interpreters in Australia, you get another 5 points. So if you know any foreign languages like Hindi, Urdu, Bengali, Malayalam, Chinese, French, German, or any other language from where you come from, you can get a certification from NATI, and that will give you 5 additional points, which is great. So let's take a brief recap of your points so far. So let's say if you have 30 for your age, 20 points for your English score, 15 for your bachelor's degree, even 0 for work experience, assuming you don't have any work experience at all, 5 for NATI, and 10 for being single or your spousal factors. So the sum total of these basic factors is already coming up to 80 points, which is well above the minimum 65 points required. And assuming you can score some more points for your work experience, you'll be able to get another 15 points, which makes your score 95, and you'll definitely be eligible to get an ITA, as you're already above the most recent cutoff score of 90 held in January. Now, a bonus tip for you: if you're an accountant or in the tech industry or in engineering, just these 3 sectors can give you 5 extra points if you get certifications from Australia. For instance, from CPA Australia if you're a CA, and so on. So your score can even go up to 100 points. Now, if you do manage to score more than 65 points, you can go ahead and create an expression of interest or an EOI for your PR application. This EOI has to be created on Skill Select, which is the official website for you to apply for your PR if you're a skilled worker or a business person from overseas who wants to migrate to Australia. You can submit your EOI from within or outside Australia, and submitting an EOI is completely free. You only have to pay your fees if you get an ITA or an invitation to apply, when you have to submit all your other documents as well. After you submit your EOI, if your score is high enough, you'll get an ITA or an invitation to apply in the draws that are held every quarter, after which you'll have 60 days to upload all your documents and pay your fees, which is 4,115 Australian dollars. Although this fee is rather high, you don't have to pay it until you're asked to complete your application, so that's good in a way. You can even add your dependent family members at this stage to your existing PR application if this applies to you. If your application is approved, you'll be given a bridging visa and you'll receive a notification of your visa grant. This bridging visa is a temporary visa which will allow you to legally fly to and stay in Australia while you're waiting for your PR application to be processed. You'll get your visa grant number, the date your visa starts, and your visa conditions at this point. Be sure to take a copy of this decision letter when you enter Australia. If your application is refused, you'll be notified with the reason of refusal and whether you have a right to a review of the decision. Your application fee will not be refunded if you have been refused a visa, so make sure that all the documents and everything else you submit is in order so you don't lose this huge amount. Alright guys, so that was how you can get your Australian PR. For more immigration and travel tips, subscribe to this channel now. Do like this video if you like the content and comment what topic you would like to hear about next. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe for regular updates on immigration and don't forget to follow us on Instagram as well. I wish you the best of luck for your application and hope you have a great day.